Usa ka pagtuo, usa ka tingog, usa ka katawhan. Cebu Catholic Television Network.
Mayong gabi sa atong mga televiewers. Anihan usab kita sa another exciting nga programa sa ato ang Partners in Law kini brought about by Celia Cebu Lady Lawyers Association. Ug karong gabi una ato ang isgutan ang role sa legal education in advancing and promoting protection of the environment or atong gitawag nga environmental advocacy. So this is another special episode wherein we talk about the role of the legal education in mainstreaming environmental advocacy. So what makes this more special kay atong gigamit ang atong technology kay atong mga guests karon anaa sa kalain-laing parte sa Pilipinas. So maayong gabi sa atong televiewers. Ako si Attorney John Minguito, the Managing Trustee of the Philippine Earth Justice Center. But karong gabi una, daghan nga mga roles ang atong gi-play, no? Kay nagisgot na tag roles. Okay, so atong tukion, atong istoryahan nagunsay atong role sa legal education kay sa pag-advance o pag-mainstream sa environmental advocacy. At the same time, I'm also the director of the Legal Aid Office sa University of Cebu School of Law. And ato asang karon atong tukion ang Clinical Legal Education Program kay dili lang dugay bag-o lang nagpagawas og administrative matter ang atong Korte Suprema nga ato ang gi-enhance atong gi-revise ang law student practice nga curriculum. So karon ang ato ang mga law students ato nang gitawag nga law student practitioners gihimo kini sa Supreme Court para mas daghang matagaan og serbisyong legal kay bisag estudyante pa sila sa law under the supervision of a lawyer sila makahatag na og tabang nga serbisyong legal under the supervision of a lawyer pinaagi sa atong clinical legal education program. Og karon summer man ron or panahon ron sa summer internship sa nagkalain-lain nga mga eskwelahan, ang atong guest karong gabi una duha ka mga interns gikan sa Ateneo Human Rights Center. But gikan pud sila sa lain-lain nga eskwelahan. Atong i-welcome atong pirmiro nga guest si Francis Bolaños gikan sa Ateneo de Naga University School of Law. Maayong gabi Francis, good evening.
Good evening po.
Welcome natin si Francis. Ang ating second guest ay galing din sa Ateneo Human Rights Center, intern din siya. Siya naman ay galing sa Ateneo Law School, si Micaela Kagurangan. Welcome, Mika.
Good evening po.
Good evening, Mika and Balls. Welcome to the Partners in Law program. So, the Philippines is very diverse in terms of language as well. So, sa gabing ito, kailangan natin gamitin ang wikang Filipino para maintindihan ng ating mga guests at maipahayag din ng ating mga guests ang kanilang mga gustong sabihin sa ating programa. Okay ba yan, Balls? At saka Francis at saka Mika?
Okay lang po.
Yes po.
Thank you po.
Ayun, okay naman. So, Francis, can you please introduce yourself? Introduce mo muna yung self mo sa ating mga viewers. Ang mga viewers natin, Francis, mostly from the Visayas and Mindanao.
Sige po. Good evening. I'm Francis Bolaños. Currently second year in law school in Ateneo de Naga University. Currently, I'm an intern in PHAC. Hello po. Good evening ulit.
Thank you. Daghang salamat, Francis. What about Mika?
Good evening po. Ako po ay si Micaela Kagurangan and ako po ay intern sa PEJC and nag-aaral po ako sa Ateneo School of Law and incoming third year student po.
Ayun, so we have our very active interns, Micaela and Francis, as our guest ngayong gabi. So pag-uusapan naming tatlo, ang pag-aaral ng abogasiya, ang environment, at anong relationship nila, at paano pa natin mapalakas ang environmental protection using or gamit natin ang ating nalalaman sa batas. So Francis, itatanungin kita,
Yes po.
what were your reasons on studying law? Bakit gusto mong maging abogado?
Well, at first actually it's for my family din. Because of what's happening in our country, I pursue law because to protect my family and for small advocacies na rin po for myself, like for gender awareness and for IP concerns, parang ganun po. That's why I really want to pursue law.
After 2 years in law school, gusto mo pa rin bang maging abogado?
Yes po. Actually, it builds up my motivation and my aspiration to be a lawyer. Especially what I'm doing right now from PJC, from AHRC. I think it build the fire to be a lawyer for me.
Wow, that's very good to hear, Francis. What about Mika? Now, Mika, our guest, bakit gusto mo maging abogado? Ano yung motivation mo?
Gusto ko po maging abogado kasi po matagal na po akong interesado sa human rights and gusto ko po mag-spread ng awareness and gusto ko rin po maturuan yung mga tao ng mga rights nila and yung mga situations na kailangan nilang i-watch out para malaman kung na-violate ba yung rights nila or hindi.
Thank you very much for those sa mga sagot nyo. Ano ko lang for sa ating mga televiewers. Ngayon, they are intern sila, mga intern sila sa atuang Philippine Earth Justice Center. So, kauban na to sila karon sa ato silang gitabangan, gituduan na to sila sa Tunay-Bawan, and at the same time, ni-share pod sila sa ilahang time, skills, and of course, knowledge and effort para sa ato ang internship program. So, tanong ko lang ulit kay Balls or kay Francis, paano ka ba napunta sa environment protection? Ito ba yung choice mo or inassign lang to sa'yo sa Ateneo Human Rights Center?
Actually, it was assigned, but then again, it's in line din with what I want to do. It's to have a diverse understanding of the legal field. Parang ganun. Parang it's not the usual na ginagawa ng mga abogado. But it's the same thing na parang it's much more of a diverse avenue to the legal profession. And parang mas na-motivate ako pag ganun yung field na pinupuntahan ng isang profession. Parang ganun po.
What about si Mika naman?
Since interesado po ako sa human rights, pinili ko po na mag-join po sa environmental protection po.
So ito talaga yung choice mo, Mika?
Yes po.
Ano ba yung so far ang pinaka natutunan yung dalawa dito na hindi nyo natutunan prior to joining the internship program? So if there's something new na you were able to learn, ano kaya yon? Unahin naman natin ngayon si Mika.
Mostly yung proseso po ng pag-file po ng petition na about environmental protection sa korte po. And yung mga batas po na kailangan pong pag-aralan para po maging knowledgeable po sa case po.
Okay, what about si Francis?
For me po, because I've taken environmental law subject already. To me, it was parang when I was looking and taking that subject, parang it was far-fetched, parang it's ideal. But right now, I think I have managed to see it on first hand, that how cases are processes are being done, and I think it's very a good experience for us to see how environmental laws are being done in the Philippines and how it really protects the environment. I'm happy about that.
Well, yun nga. So yun yung parang ang actual na talaga na nangyayari, no? Kasi inaaral natin yung substantive part. Dito naman, yung ano talaga yung actual na ginagawa. Yun yung gusto niyo sabihin, tama ba?
Yes po.
So sa in your different areas kasi for the information sa ating mga televiewers, I understand si Francis nandyan ngayon sa Naga Bicol region
Yes.
sa Camarines Sur ba yan, Francis?
Yes po, Camarines Sur.
Si Francis nandito sa Naga City, nandyan sa Naga City. Si Mika naman nasa Maynila, tama ba Mika?
Yes po.
Saan specific part?
Sa San Juan po.
San Juan. Okay, so ngayon ang programa natin like I mentioned kanina, I'm here at the studio sa CCTN, ako sa Cebu, si Francis in Naga City in Bicol Region, Camarines Sur, at si Mika ay nasa San Juan City, Metro Manila. So the point I'm driving at is we are at different locations in the Philippines and we see different environmental problems and social problems in the different areas. Matanong ko lang kay Mika, sa San Juan ba or sa Metro Manila, ano sa tingin mo ang pinaka-pressing issue on environment?
Yung siguro po yung pagbaha po, yung dahil po sa basura na kumakalat sa kahit saan po, kahit po sa kalye, sa kanto, sa kanal. Yan po yung...
So ang nakikita mo Mika, yun yung pinaka-problema, yung basura, tama ba?
Yes po.
So ngayon how do you think the law can help address that problem, or will the law be able to address that problem?
Feel ko po na ma-address po yung problem sa pag-regulate or pag-ban ng mga specific na plastics na nakaka-harm po sa environment. And because of the law, pwede pong madisiplinado yung mga tao po sa pagtapon kung saan-saan po.
Yeah, that's very good, Mika. No? So gamit natin yung batas para ma-improve ang sitwasyon ng baha, tama ba? Yun yung gamitin natin, ang pag-implement ng batas at paggawa ng mas matinding batas, maiging batas para ma-solve yung problem on garbage. Yun nga, nasabi mo na garbage problem dyan sa inyong area. What about Francis naman? Ano ba yung environmental issue na nandyan sa area mo?
For me, concerning on road expansion, because may mga puno kasi along the roads, and we are trying to advocate to not cut those trees and do segregation as well, and do flooding areas as well. Parang may same with Mika. May ganun na problem here in Naga City.
What do you mean? Paano kaya yan ma-solve, Francis?
Actually, they are already raising concern to the local government unit. They raised a concern for that, and I hope the local government would address it through the council to address those matters. Of course, it's bound of law naman, and concerning naman sa mga segregations here, same with Mika. There are also some problems here in waste kasi parang we are already parang full maximum of those landfills already. That's why they are having avenues of how to find new ones or to address those in a different manner. I think the Naga City is addressing those right now.
Okay, thank you very much. No? So maigting ang ating discussion ngayon kung ano yung mga different issues, but we have to take a break for babalik tayo for another exciting discussion. This is your program, Partners in Law.
Maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan. Ang atong haring dakbayan sa Sugbo padayong gihasi ni COVID-19. Miabot na og 25,223 ang mga kasong natala sukad sa atong kumbate sa coronavirus sa Marso sa miaging tuig. Dungan sa atong pagbangutan sa 868 nato nga kaigsuunan nga namatay. Nagampo kita nga matapos na kining pandemya. Daghan kanato ang nawad-an og trabaho ug panginabuhian. Apan taliwala sa mga pagsulay, pinaagi sa pagbulig sa Dios, mubarog kita isip mga Sugbuanon. Aron malikay kita sa COVID-19, magsulob kita kanunay og face mask, maghugas sa kamot ug maglagyo aron magpugong sa tinakdanay. Labaw sa tanan, duol kamo sa inyong mga health center o magpalista sa Emergency Operation Center aron makapabakuna. Ayaw pagpili, pagpatarok bisan unsang bakuna alang sa imong proteksyon. Protektahi imong kaugalingon, protektahi imong pamilya, protektahi ang sugbo.
Batuki ang COVID-19. Tulo ka hugna sa COVID. COVID sa ilong lang, vitamina C, kasagaran walay hilanat. Asymptomatic, walay simptomas. COVID sa tutunlan, katol ang tutunlan. Panahon sa kaayuhan o sa kaadlaw, paglimugmog og init na tubig. Medyo init na tubig ang imnon. Paracetamol kung may hilanat. Vitamin C, B-complex. Kung grabe, nagkinahanglan na og antibiotic. COVID sa baga, pag-ubo o kakutas, sud sa 4 ngadto sa 5 ka adlaw. Vitamina C, B-complex, limugmog og init nga tubig, oximeter, paracetamol, oxygen cylinder kung grabe, gikinahanglan ang daghang tubig, ehersisyo sa paghinhawa, estado nga gikinahanglan ng moadto sa ospital, i-monitor ang level sa oxygen, kung moabot na gani og 43, gikinahanglan na ang oxygen cylinder. Ayaw itago kining maong informasyon alang lamang sa imong kaugalingon. Ipaambit kini sa imong pamilya o mga higala ang pagpakigbatok sa COVID-19. Hatod kaninyo ning istasyon.
Mayong gabi gyapon sa atong televiewers, ani anasab kita sa ato ang ikaduhang hugna sa atong programa ang Partners in Law. And tonight is a very special episode because we are using technology to bring to you another exciting program. So, ganina sa wala pa ta nag-break, ato ang gisgutan ang mga nagkalain-laing problema sa nagkalain-laing lugar sa Pilipinas about environment. And ang ato ang mga guests karong gabi una, like I mentioned ganina, gikan sa nagkalain-laing lugar sa Pilipinas, atong gigamit ang technology para mapadangat kaninyo ang usa sa mga pinaka-exciting programa nato diri sa Partners in Law. Kaya atong mga bisita, gawas ng mga batan-on, mga resibo kayo, ug kamao nga naay nakamauhan para magamit para sa pagsulbad sa atong mga nagkalain-laing problema sa kinaiyahan. Atong i-welcome balik ato ang guest, si Mika and Francis. Mika and Francis?
Good evening po.
Ayun, so we had the first segment already and we were discussing about the different problems na nakikita nyo sa area niyo. Now let's proceed. In solving these issues, bigay tayo ulit kay Francis. Solving these issues, how do you think is the law being able to solve that? What's the use of the law?
We have this, we have the Clean Air Act, we have the Solid Waste Management Act to address this concern. And I think these two laws can be raised through legal matters, like to the local government, to not really much to the court, but to raise this concern that there are violations and there are health concerns, particularly the environment as well. And I think these laws would be an avenue to raise concerns and to let those local government address this in bounds of what is the law is saying. Parang ganun po.
So gamitin yung batas para ma-solve yung problem, no? Kaya din ang sinabi ni Mika kanina. Dun sa, okay, let's talk about your internship naman ngayon. How are you adjusting to the new kind of normal? And nag-aaral kayo through online, I understand, kasi hindi pa pwedeng face-to-face. Share nyo naman sa ating mga televiewers yung experience nyo, transition coming from, kasi I know marami ang ngayon, marami ang experiencing the same situation as you are. The challenge, the different kind of learning under the new normal. So paano ba yung transition na ginawa mo and how did you cope up with it and how are you coping up with the situation? Mika?
To be honest po, it's hard. However, I was able to cope by chatting with my friends and doing study groups with them and asking questions to the prof and to my blockmates as well. And I cope I coped like that, and it was also hard considering that the internet connection here in the Philippines is weak, and you have to have solid proof on whether your internet connection stability is weak in order to be excused from class.
Mm-mm-mm. So when you mentioned that it's hard, what's the hardest part, Mika, of the transition part?
I think the internet connection and being alone in just in your room without anyone talking to you about the topic, or without reviewing with someone. Because I
Mm-mm.
believe in order to survive law school, you have to have a solid support group, and you have to have like a study group in order to retain the topic.
I agree. So I survived law school with my study group, with my solid support group as well. I agree. That's why I echo your sentiment, Mika. Ito naman, what about Francis?
For me, actually, it's really because Bicol area is talagang parang mabagal yung internet namin dito. And it really burden more the problem on how we convey our recitations, our assignments, particularly during exams. We are always parang kinakabahan kami pag nagsasubmit kasi what if the internet go down during parang submissions, and during our study time, parang it's the real different when you do the face-to-face discussion. You can
Mm-mm.
parang before class you can do interactions, we could do uh, reviews, but right now we can't kasi it's online, and we cannot just ask our friends because parang ang hirap when you do the recitation tapos you are all alone in the room, and you, parang you are talking to something on the board, parang mahirap. It's
Mm-mm.
different when you are facing during class. And I think if there's an intimate connection when in classroom compared right now, kasi I could just turn off my audio, I can just turn off my video doing something else. Unlike in face to face, the teacher could really see what I'm doing, and it's a much more process. I think there's a much more higher chances that I could really learn in face to face.
Yes, the same problem being faced by different kinds of students all over the country right now. Ano naman, Mika, ano bang message mo sa ating mga students now? Kasi you mentioned you have a different coping mechanism. What is your suggestion to all the struggling students from different levels all over the country na nanonood sa atin ngayon, Mika?
I guess to value their rest time. Pag kailangan mag-rest talaga kayo. Hindi pala kahit marami kayong dapat gawin, kailangan meron pa ring rest. Kung hindi, magkaka-burnout po kayo, and mahirap po mag-get out po sa burnout po.
Yeah, very sound advice. Yes, rest is very important. That's why kailangan niya you have a day at least to rest, no, sa buong linggo. Okay, take time to rest para bukas after you rest, ano naman, continue na naman sa mga dapat gawin. No? Very sound advice coming from you, Mika. What about Francis? Ano naman yung advice natin?
To add on that on Mika as well, I think not only rest, I think we should also address our mental health. And if you think that we are already bombarded with our academics, I think it's really need for rest. And I think also time management and good study habits. I think because of the avenue and the time that we have right now, because it's online, I think a good discipline of time management and good study habit would really put the stress and the problems on how to address the online class could be more relief if we have those kind of habits.
Yeah, good study habits. Yeah, yung adjustment naman coming from face to face, going to online classes. Ano ba yung sa legal education naman tayo, studying law naman tayo ngayon. So what's the most challenging part aside from being alone in your room, studying on ano ba yung sa legal education aspect naman tayo? How can we improve, or ano ba yung mga challenges na nakikita nyo sa legal education aside yung sa initial na na-mention nyo kanina? Ano ba yung considering na eto ngayon, no? And we will be having the first bar exam na computerized, or at saka ano pa siya, located in the different parts of the country. So sa legal education naman tayo nga sa study of law, ano ba yung, kasi iba-iba tayong mga school dito. So ano ba yung ano natin, challenges, and how do we attack or address that problem? Let's start with Francis.
For me, challenges on legal education per se is that we always do I think law students would know this. We do Socratic method, and it's very hard to do that online because we don't know if the student is really browsing the net or really doing the memorization part on that. But I think that's the avenue to create a creative and interactive process or alternatives to address those kind of concerns. I think law school should have those other I think it's also in the new MC on how the curriculum is to be done. I think there's a lot of avenues to do lessons, to do recitations, to other interactive avenues, doing online discussion. And I think that's something that we could do in this kind of system or this kind of processes.
So improve on the interaction on online, yun yung gusto mo sabihin, no?
Yes po.
Francis, si Mika naman.
I think it's to be more considerate, concern with regard to the situation of each student, and also in improving the students learning the topics. I think review day, a day reserved for review would be nice. In the one class that I had last semester, we had a review day, and it really helped us in answering our quizzes and our exams because we were able to recall. And I think that active recall is the best way to learn the law.
Mika, can you expound more on the review day or review time? What do you want to share? Can you share something about it?
Okay,
More specifics about the review day?
Yes. Every after 2 sessions of the class, we have review days wherein the professor asks us about the topics that we learned in the past 2 sessions, and then we recite the provisions, and we recite the doctrines as well.
So parang you pause and then do review of what was discussed, what were
Yes.
discussed in the past 2 meetings. Yun ba?
Yes.
And yes, we like you mentioned, ang dami nating mga challenges, iba-ibang challenges, iba-ibang situation. Even the legal education, not just the legal education, all the different kinds of learning are actually affected dahil sa pandemic, but this should not stop us from moving forward, correct? So
Yes.
they should not stop us from moving forward. We should be adaptive to the situation and do what's best in the situation. Dahil nga, I think the next topic would be, what is the good thing that came out of the pandemic, and there must be something good out of this kind of situation. Ano kaya sa tingin nyo ang something good that came out of this situation, Francis?
For me, I think it's to have time with your family and to have you really manage to do aside from the academic, you spend more time of yourself, and at the same time, I think it's an avenue for us to really do other to do studying aside that we could not do before. Kasi parang we have that time, and the time we have right now is so much. Even though it's parang nasa lockdown or nasa bahay lang, nakakulong lang tayo. But I think there's an opportunity for us to look into it, especially for us law student, that may oras tayo, and we could do that to our other other academics. We could do reviews, and I think it's for me a good thing na din. But again, there are things that we cannot really not get rid of. Yung parang we always have to parang nagre-rest agad. But then again, it's an avenue on time that we have right now. I think it's that.
Yeah, more time to do more personal things, no? Kasi nasa bahay lang naman. Si Mika.
I think it improved my time management skills, like when to rest and when to study, and also the flexibility of having to study. I can study in another place, and I can go to class in a place other than that of the classroom. I can go to I can go anywhere and have classes there.
Yeah, and they can do internships anywhere in the Philippines, and and not being able to physically be present, but then you're still able to do your job. No, that's something that we are proud of. No, we are actually doing well. No. Like ngayon, you are an intern of PEGC. We're located in Cebu. Your boss Francis is in Bicol, Mika is in Manila, but we're still able to get the job done, right?
Yes.
Yun. So now as we move forward to the next topic naman, napag-usapan na natin kanina, meron tayong short introduction on what we do, followed by ano bang mga environmental concerns na nakikita natin sa ating mga specific areas. Then we were able to discuss also the challenges faced by the individual student in facing the pandemic and facing the new normal. So let's talk about the deepening issues and role of legal education and lawyers in frontlining or protecting the environment. Sa pagbabalik ng ating programa, ang Partners in Law.
Sorry ma'am, na-late ko. Nangita pa mong gusto para internet sa kong anak ma'am.
Ay, wala na yung problema. Mag-sinisibo!
Sinisibo, Sinisibo, for your internet connection
And for the signal of your cable TV.
so fast and straight that transmission to your home.
Sinisibo!
Sinisibo, Sinisibo offers you to have fiber optics.
For your viewing experience, perfect and clear, so fast.
So great and affordable for you to enjoy.
Sinisibo.
Cine Cebu Television Network Incorporated offers fiber to the home broadband internet bundled with fiber to the home cable TV connection. Cine Cebu Television Network Incorporated with its operation in Metro Cebu and the whole province of Cebu soon.
And affordable for you to enjoy.
Sinisibo!
For inquiries, please visit us at www.cinecebu.com. Cine Cebu, connecting communities, creating connectivities.
Banay ni Juan TV Show. Usa ka TV magazine nga nag-ugmad sa mithi sa banay, katilingban, nasud ug sa katawhan.
Ambita na to ang panaghisgot sa mga mithi sa banay, katawhan, katilingban ug sa atong nasud.
Dinhi hisgutan nato ang filosofiya, siyensya, teknolohiya, arte ug balita. Unsa ang kalambigitan niini sa hulagway sa banay.
Paabuta kanunay matag Sabado ug sa iyang pag-replay. Alas 2 ngadto sa alas 3 sa palis matag Huwebes. Banay ni Juan TV Show at tangi.
Banay ni Juan.
Welcome Welcome back, mayong gabi. Aniagi hapon kita sa atong programang Partners in Law. Kini gyapon ang inyong host, si Attorney John Minggito sa Philippine Earth Justice Center. And naana kita sa atong katapusang hugna sa ato ang programa, and like ganina pa ta nag-discuss, and we are very excited about this program. Kaya atong magamit ang technology, this is an example that technology can be a very good tool to get people together and get the message across, and will be able to send a message across even if we are at the different parts of the country, like what we have this evening. Welcome natin ulit for the last part of the discussion. We still have our guests from our law student interns at the Philippine Earth Justice Center. For the benefit of those na ngayon lang kakaon ng TV nila, our program is Partners in Law, brought to you by Cebu Lady Lawyers Association, and this is the specific program on the environment hosted by yours truly of the Philippine Earth Justice Center. Yung mga guests natin are both at the law student interns of the Ateneo Human Rights Center. We have Francis, who is currently in Naga City in Bicol, and we still have Mika, our law student from Ateneo Law School, who's currently in San Juan, Metro Manila. So, like we mentioned, we are at the last segment of this program before we end this program, and we have had an enriching discussion. On the first part, we talked about the different environmental concerns, and the second part is we talk about challenges in the new normal as students, and how do we cope them, and how we address certain issues. Right now, let's talk about some legalese part. Talk about the laws. Let's talk about environmental laws, to be specific, and let's talk about these things and how to solve specific problems, because the law is there. Andyan ang batas para solusyonan ang mga problema. And we are in the belief at the Philippine Earth Justice Center that if in the event we push for the protection, and we push for the implementation, the full implementation of the different environmental laws in order to protect our environment. So our guests this evening are interns, our law student interns and future lawyers. Matanong natin sila ngayon, Francis and Mika. In the role, ano bang tingin mo ang mga the role of law students in protecting the environment? Being students of the law, ano ba yung role natin? Role nyo as students of the law to protect the environment? Para naman sa ating mga televiewers na mga law students. Let's start with yes, ladies first. Yes, Mika.
I guess it's to spread awareness with your peers. Since we cannot delve on the serious legal aspects yet, I guess we can just spread awareness among our peers.
Yes. What about Francis? Aside from spreading awareness.
Actually, I agree with Mika, because I think one of the things to solve the problem is to know that there is a problem. I think it's already 50% in how to solve such existing concerns. And aside from awareness, I think we could encourage youth in advocating environmental concerns like segregation, planting more trees. And there are school organizations, particularly in college and other, particularly outside universities, to mainstream or to do advocacies in this kind of field. And as law student, I think we could do outside of our understanding of the law, and how this right for us to protect our environment, at the same time to protect us from the harmful pollution that exists right now. Parang ganun.
So, yun nga, awareness and spreading what we know, no? And to really spread what we know and let more people be aware. Kasi nga, as we're not limited to our circle only, but we spread to those who really would want to know more about, para mas maraming mas nakakaalam, di ba? Ano bang specific environmental law or na gusto nating made to make more people be aware of, Mika, sa tingin mo?
I guess the Clean Air Act, since traffic congestion is also a major problem here in Metro Manila.
So you want to we want people to be more aware about the Clean Air Act.
Yes.
And Francis?
For me, it's more on the solid waste management act, because I think we are producing waste even in our community, even ourselves. Diba? I think we should be more aware how we throw our trash and how those kind of waste should be segregated. I think it's a first step in how we could help as advocate of environmental protection.
Yes, and that's why we're working on we're studying on the use of the banning of the use of single-use plastics, correct? Ano ba yung comment mo doon, Nika? Let's talk about the single-use plastics.
I think the law needs more proper implementation. The Solid Waste Management Commission hasn't produced a list yet on what kind of plastics to ban, and in not producing a list yet, it made the plastic problem a serious problem.
Do you agree with the regulation of the use of the single-use plastics?
Yes, because not only do plastics impose a problem in the flooding in cities and in other parts of the Philippines, it also poses a risk to marine animals because they often mistake it as food, and when they mistake it as food, we in turn eat those animals, and we in turn digest the plastic that they've eaten. So even though we are directly affected with the plastic problem in the seas, we suffer the consequences as well, since we eat those animals that have mistakenly eaten the plastics.
Yeah, that's true. May mga pictures nga tayo nakikita online, no, na parang may mga nasa-suffocate dahil dun sa mga plastics na kinain, no? May mga marine mammals na nasa-suffocate, namamatay nga dahil dun nga sa mga nakakain din nila, or mga hindi sila nakakahinga dahil dun sa mga plastics. At we know this is a very big issue, not just in the marine area but also sa atin, di ba? What about Francis? What is your comment on the single-use plastics?
For me, it's a long time already to address this concern. It's been very long. The act was 20 years ago, so I think it's right time for the agency to act on it. And for us as well, I think as what Mika have said, it's a domino effect. If one of the smallest being affected or ingest this kind of plastic, especially those microplastics, it goes back to us. Ay, parang yung kasabihan na yung basura mo babalik sa'yo pag tinapon mo lang basta-basta. Diba? Parang it is parang ganun. But what we do really affects us in how we address or how we take care our environment, and to just parang kung wala tayong pakialam dito, I think it's just how it's not supposed to be that way, because it affects us. It how the environment is being destroyed is really has that effect on our health as a person, as a community, because this is our planet. It's where we stay. So if anything happens to it, we would be gone with it.
Everybody's really affected. Yun nga, tamang yung sinabi mo, Francis. Environmental protection should be everybody's concern. Kasi hindi naman lang, no one is spared. No one is spared from the effects or the ill effects of degrading the environment, no? Degradation of the environment. So ngayon, how do you see the law protecting the environment? How do you see these specific laws protecting the environment? And what is really the role of the law in protecting the environment? Ano ba yung sa tingin mo, Francis? Let's begin with you. How do you see the law is able to protect the environment, and what is the role of these laws in protecting the environment?
The law is actually our laws, particularly in the Philippines, on environmental law, is really a good avenue to protect it. It's but on the other hand, on my part naman is on on those agency that's supposed to really implement this law is of that concern. Parang may concern doon. But on the law itself, I think it do safeguards our community. It do safeguard our marine environment, our terrestrial environment. But then again, I think it's more on the avenue on the implementations and on the avenue of the agency, particularly to really the one who would do the works. I think it's on that matter.
Yes, Mika, ikaw na.
I agree with what Francis has said. I think that the environmental laws here in the Philippines are very comprehensive. However, there needs to be a strict and proper implementation in order for it to have better results in in the environment in the country. Like even though we have had these laws for a decade or two, we don't see any significant changes because of the improper implementation of these laws.
Yeah, so more of we have what we're trying to say is magaganda yung mga batas natin. No? We have comprehensive laws, but the implementation part is where we need to improve on. Tama ba?
Yes.
Yeah. And now let's go to law schools. How do you think law schools should help in mainstreaming environmental protection in our respective law schools? What do you think is your suggestion to improve mainstreaming environmental protection sa mga kanya-kanya nating mga law schools? Simulan naman tayo kay Francis.
For me, for us, kasi parang in Ateneo Dinago, we have this institute concerning environment. It's called INICAR, Institute of Environmental Conservation and Research. And yun nga, I've said before, parang may concern kami sa mga puno here in our parang sa Naga City along the road. And I think we could be of assistance to them of our legal understanding. Parang we could co-work with them, parang like that who could address this kind of matters legally and to really parang give an aspect or perspective of how the law exists, so that this kind of protection to those trees in our community can be protected. Parang ganun po.
So sa law school niyo naman, yun nga, so sa specific project sa mga law students niyo dyan, how do you think you can help, Francis?
For us law students, I think not to be actually it's of course we need to be aware of it. We have studied a portion of it on one of subject of it, environmental laws, and we could be establish a good organizations, or we could be of active in our communities, because as law students, particularly here in Ateneo Dinago, we hope that we do not just be bound by the four corners of our classrooms. We also we want also to establish that we could be of aid outside of our classroom through organizational activities in relation to those environmental concerns, particularly our TC here in Naga, and also any pollutions that is happening or segregation problems here in Naga City.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. That's a very good avenue. Mapunta naman tayo kay Mika.
I think not only do we have to learn about the various environmental laws in the country, but also we need to be directly involved with the environmental problem, like what we did, like what I did in my environmental law class. Not only did we learn about the environmental laws in the country, but we also made a student-led initiative in planting mangroves in Quezon City, in the Quezon province, where we also interviewed the fishermen and the farmers, and we asked them how mangroves would improve their livelihood, and we also made a social media page for it, and we spread awareness of this mangrove, of the planting of mangroves by posting various laws and various facts about the advantages of planting mangroves.
Yeah, yes, because mangroves are often, that's very good, Mika, because mangroves are often mistaken as parang no, walang use or walang gamit. Pero as a matter of fact, it's very ang laki ng gamit niya no sa maintaining the ecosystem good for nandun naman sa area na yon, no. Mangroves are a very vital role in maintaining the equilibrium or the ecosystem good in that specific area. So yun nga, so we do what we can sa mga shares natin. We have been talking for almost an hour now and we are ang dami na nating napag-usapan, but you know, they say lawyers are leaders in the community, di ba? So as lawyers, marami ang naglo-look up sa atin. Kayo as future lawyers, even still as law students, marami na rin ang naglo-look up sa inyo because we are perceived to be leaders in the society. So let's you know, let's walk the talk, no. Ayusin natin yung mga pwedeng gawin, na pwedeng ayusin, at gamitin natin ang ating nalalaman, gamitin natin what we know of the law in order to better the lives of the people and specifically also in order to protect the environment. So unfortunately, kailangan na nating tapusin ang ating programa, but before we do that, kunin natin ang ating mga mensahe galing sa ating mga bisita ngayong gabi sa ating programa. Gusto ko lang silang tanungin, Francis and Nika, ano ba yung so far greatest learning nyo sa internship nyo sa PEJC? And secondly, ano yung message natin sa ating mga televiewers in protecting the environment, not just as a law student, as a Filipino, as a youth, as an individual resident of the planet. So tanungin natin, mauna natin si Mika, ano yung message mo sa, ano ba yung natutunan mo? Ano ba yung natutunan mo sa internship mo sa PEGC? At anong message natin sa ating mga televiewers?
Interning in PAJC helped me to be more involved in the problems, specifically in the environmental aspects in the Philippines, and it helped me a lot in understanding the legal process in filing the petitions of environmental related cases. And ang message ko po sa viewers natin ngayon is mag-aral kayo ng mabuti, and a small thing goes a long way, and kahit na feel nyo na nag-iisa kayo sa pagbago ng mga attitude, and like pag-conserve ng energy, paggamit ng reduce, reuse, recycle method, pwede kayo maka-impluwensya po ng mga tao po.
Thank you very much. Yan si Mika, ang ating intern sa PEJC, and at the same time, a law student from the Ateneo Law School. Ito naman, punta naman tayo kay Francis.
Hello. For me, what I've learned in PEJC, I've realized, it's my realization that the law is active. The law is really alive when you really engage yourself in this profession. And actually, beforehand, as a law student, I was questioning how this kind of law are being practiced. But here in PHAC, I see them on hand, and I appreciate that the law is alive and how it helps our environment and our community to strive for better change. And yan, for a message naman to everyone, for me is to every single actions, every simple actions can do ripples. Even though it's just a small ripple, but if we do it as a community, as a community, it creates waves naman. It creates a substantial change if we really have the chance to really advocate our concern in environment, to our concern in our health, to our community. I think it creates waves if we do it together, even though it's a small ripples in our own actions. But if it's in community, it really gives a great change for our community, for our environment, for our planet. specifically because we have only one Earth and we have nowhere else to go. Even though if it's Mars, you cannot just terraform it for how long. But we have one planet, and this is Earth, and this is our home. And I hope we have that kind of awareness and our drive to really do change for our environment. And I hope we can really do that.
Thank you very much. No, thank you very much. We're learning a lot from our guests this evening. Thank you very much, Mika and Francis. And my fervent
Thank you.
hope and prayer is that you maintain and you keep within you the responsibility of protecting the environment. In the event you become lawyers, I'm sure that that's a day certain. Both of you will become lawyers. We at PJC are rooting for you, and we are praying now. Kahit anong field ang gusto mong i-practice sa law, you will always incorporate in you the protection of the environment. And this has been another great episode, no, everyone, sa ating mga televiewers, sa atong mga nananaw karong gabi una. Magpasalamat ta sa Celia Cebu Lady Lawyers Association para ani nga programa, Partners in Law. And thank you very much to our guests again, Mika and Francis. And sa atong mga televiewers, I hope natin nakatunan karon gabi una nga bisag unsa kagamay sa atong gibuhat ako kinig epekto, no, bisag unsa kagamay sa atong gibuhat sa pagprotektar sa environment, aduna gyapon kini dako nga epektuan, makit-an gyapon nato ang epektuan ni. And the law is alive, that's what Francis mentioned, buhi ang balaod, and bisag unsa kagagmay atong buhaton, it will help us along the way. So ato na pong tapuso ng ato nga another program sa Partners in Law, and kini gyapon ang inyong host sa Philippine Earth Justice Center, Attorney John Benito. Ikang salamat ug maayong gabi ka natong tanan.